If you've ever collected or flipped cards, you know the feeling, right? You're caught in this constant tug-of-war. On one side, you've got all the market hype screaming at you to buy, buy, buy. And on the other, you've got that gut-wrenching panic that makes you want to sell everything you own. It's this crazy battle between greed and fear. But what if there was a system, a way to actually rise above all that chaos and master the game itself? Well, let's dive into exactly that.
You know, the best way to think about this whole strategy is with the sniper analogy. Seriously, stick with me here. Think of all your data, your tech, your research. That's the sniper's high-powered scope. It gives you the super precise measurements you need to hit the target. But here's the thing. Even with the most advanced scope in the world, the shot is completely worthless if you flinch when you pull the trigger. And that's your mindset. That's your discipline. It's the controlled breathing, the steady hand. You absolutely need both to succeed, and that's exactly what we're breaking down.
So, let's start with the scope. Mastering the machine. This is all about using technology to your advantage, turning all that raw, messy market data into clear, actionable profit. The whole goal here is to get emotion and guesswork out of the equation and give yourself a real objective edge.
Look, the absolute foundation of flipping smart is knowing what a card is actually worth. I mean, totally separate from the hype you see all over social media. And this is where analytical valuations come in. It's all about using hard data to set an objective baseline for what something is worth. This is your #1 defense against overpaying.
So how do you actually do it? Well, let's look at 2 super powerful actionable hacks. First up, comp check always. It sounds simple, but it's crucial. It just means you never buy blind. You get really good at comparing a card's price to recent sales of that exact same card. The second hack, becoming a pop report prophet. The population report tells you exactly how many of a certain card exist at a certain grade. This lets you see the true scarcity, and trust me, true scarcity always wins against temporary hype.
Okay, so once you've gotten good at valuing what a card is worth right now, the next level is all about predicting the future. Predictive systems are where you move beyond just valuation and into real trend analysis. You're essentially building a system to spot the rising stars and the hot products before everyone else jumps on the bandwagon.
And here's how you can start building that system. One great strategy is creating your own trend prediction engine. You're looking for ways to see tomorrow's heat today. This could mean tracking player stats, social media buzz, any little thing that gives you an early signal. A really specific way to use this is the rookie heat detector. With rookies, timing is literally everything, and catching that rising star right before their value explodes, well, that's one of the biggest wins you can have in this game.
All right, so you've mastered the machine. You have the best data, the best analytics, your scope is perfect. But, and this is a big but, none of it matters if you can't control your own mind. This section is all about winning the inner game. That's the trigger squeeze. The best data in the world is totally useless if you don't have the mental discipline to actually follow your strategy.
Let's be honest, your biggest opponent in this game isn't another collector or even the market itself. It's your own emotional reaction. It's that FOMO, the fear of missing out, that makes you chase a card that's already pumped. And it's the sheer panic that makes you sell at the very bottom of a dip. Emotional control is the skill of staying rational when it feels like everyone else is losing their minds.
And this quote, man, it just says it all. This is the heart of the fear and greed gauge strategy, and it is everything. It's about having a contrarian mindset. When the market is freaking out and everyone is selling out of fear, that's your signal to start looking for deals. And when the market is euphoric and everyone's getting greedy, well, that might just be the perfect time to take some profits.
This idea leads right into the next crucial skill, patience and conviction. You might have heard the term diamond hands from the stock and crypto worlds. That's exactly what this is. It's the discipline to hold on to your stuff through the market's natural ups and downs, trusting the research you did in the first place and avoiding those rushed, emotional decisions that can just wreck your portfolio.
And to build this skill, you can practice 2 key mindsets. First, the hold hustle. This is about developing such an unshakable belief in your research that the day-to-day market noise doesn't even faze you. And this connects right to the patience profit protocol, which is a simple reminder: rushed decisions destroy wealth, but patient, well-thought-out ones are what create it.
Finally, let's talk about ego. Because after a huge win, it is so easy to feel like a genius and get way too confident. And after a loss, it's just as easy to feel like a total failure. Ego and loss management is the critical skill of separating who you are from your last trade. Your profit and loss statement does not define your worth.
The way to handle this is by practicing 2 hacks. First is the ego check. Just constantly remind yourself you are not your last trade. Stay neutral, stay humble. And second, loss recovery mastery. Every single loss is tuition. Think of it as a data point. If you can actually transform every loss into a lesson, it basically becomes a down payment on a future profit.
Okay, so we've covered the machine and the mind, the scope and the trigger squeeze. Now it's time to bring it all together. This is the ultimate synthesis, the point where data and discipline merge to create a true master flipper.
The path to mastery is actually a really clear three-step journey. First, you master the data, the technology. Second, you master the psychological discipline to act on that data the right way. And when you combine those two, that's when you achieve the final, most elite skill, validated intuition. Now, this isn't some kind of magical gut feeling. Validated intuition is what happens when you've done so much research, you've looked at so many charts, you've analyzed so much data, that it just becomes second nature. You start to instinctively make the right moves because your gut has been trained by thousands of hours of objective, data-driven work. It's a total flow state.
To help you get to that state, you need really powerful filters. And this is one of the absolute best, the 10x test. Before you put a single dollar into anything, you ask one simple question. Does this have a realistic potential to return 10 times my money? If the answer isn't a clear, obvious yes, then it's a no, period. This simple rule gets rid of all the mediocre opportunities and forces you to focus only on the home runs. So I want you to ask yourself that right now. Think about the cards you're looking at or the assets you already have in your portfolio. Is this opportunity a true 10x? It's an incredibly powerful question that can bring instant clarity to your decisions. Another huge part of discipline is just knowing your limits. The circle of confidence is a simple but really profound idea. You have to rigorously define the areas you truly understand. Maybe it's 90s basketball, maybe it's modern Pokemon, and you never ever make a big bet outside that circle. The fastest way to lose money in any market is to play a game you don't understand. And that's the next challenge for you. Think about your recent buys and sells. Were you playing a game you truly understand? Or were you just kind of following the hype into an area you didn't really know? Be honest with yourself on that one. Finally, the absolute pinnacle of this whole synthesis is what you could call the God's Eye dashboard. This is a master view of your entire operation. Just imagine a single screen that tracks your inventory, your live profitability, key market data, and even your own personal energy levels, so you know when you're sharp and when you need a break. It is total situational awareness, and it lets you operate with almost machine-like precision. Okay, that brings us to our final section, and it's all about the ultimate goal. I mean, we've talked a lot about data and discipline to maximize your profit, but this final hack kind of reframes the entire thing. It's about finding the real reward. And here it is. This is the ultimate realization, the true win. It isn't the money you make from a single flip. It's falling in love with the process itself, the research, the strategy, the constant challenge. When you truly master the game, profit just becomes a simple, natural byproduct of doing something you love and doing it well. So you see, in the end, it's not just about making money. It's about getting to a state of mastery where you are in complete control, guided by data and grounded by discipline. It's about playing the game at the absolute highest level. So the only question left is, are you ready to master it?